All right, what's up? I think we're live. Let me know if you're here in the chat. You can hear me. Everything looks good on my end. OBS had an update, so that's why I'm a little concerned. But everything's good on showing my voice on the OBS mixer. So yeah, Thursday night. I thought I'd try to do a later live stream on the week, just weekday. I was gonna do it tomorrow, but I just I didn't really feel like gaming. Right, my hands a little sore, and I just like I'm not gonna game. I started watching Rob Rule 2's video he did with Super Metal Dave, and they were discussing E3, and every time they said something, I'm like, no, that's not what I think. So I was like, you know what, I just need to make my own predictions. On Monday, we're gonna do the Juice Loose crew is gonna discuss Nintendo's E3, but I thought it would be better slash easier just for me to get my thoughts out. What's up, Capable Ty? What's up is I thought I'd get my thoughts out of the way first, and then that way I get everybody else. We can get their thoughts, and then just get a discussion going. Because I'm gonna spend a decent amount of time, and I have, I don't want to sit there and debate about this kind of stuff. It's fun to discuss different possibilities, obviously, but I just wanted to give my predictions for Nintendo's E3. I'll start off. I'm going to discuss why I just think it's ridiculous that people they still think the Switch Pro is going to be the super powerful or very powerful version of the Switch. I'm going to go over the Bloomberg report and why something they said in there tells me that this isn't going to be a Switch Pro, and some other reasons. It's already out alone. Yeah, before I get into that, I'll hopefully get a few more people in here. I do want to cover just real quick the whole Aloy and Horizon Forbidden West thing. Talked a bit on the podcast, and it was one of those things where it was just the hot topic of the day because I think it's completely blown over. And now I watched that video probably 5 times before the podcast because I was trying to figure out why Aloy looks so different. But now I've seen it. I watched one reaction video to it, this game dev who was reacting to it. I just rewatched it just out of the blue, and then there was an interview on was it Games Radar or something? They did an interview with two of the guys at Gorilla, and they replayed the trailer while they're doing the interview. And honestly, I already am completely used to the way she looks now. Like, I was quiet to myself. I was quietly back when they first teased the game last year. I thought she looked a little different. Like, they don't quite look like Aloy. And then when I first watched the State of Play last week, or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, she just doesn't look like Aloy to me. It just doesn't, something ain't right. And I broke it down, I rewatched it, slowed it down, freeze framed it, and I thought it was the animations on her face were kind of throwing me off. And I think a lot of people just noticed something, they didn't know what it was, and it turned into a whole mess of people saying she looked manly. What's up, T, and all that. But honestly, what's up, Chappelle, Montoya? Honestly, I'm used to the Aloy's look in Forbidden West now that I've seen that presentation multiple times and just watched that interview with Guerrilla Games. She looks like I already don't even remember what I thought looked off about her. She just looks like Aloy to me now. I haven't gone back and replayed the first game. I still got to play the DLC. I was hoping for a 60 FPS upgrade. I'm still kind of holding out for that. They did confirm, not in that interview, but in another article, they said that they have a 60 FPS performance mode on PS5 for Horizon Forbidden West, which is great news for me. I'm still holding out hope that Zero Dawn will get one, and then I'll play the DLC. I can wait till right before that game comes out anyway. I didn't know she looked man. Some people were saying that. I didn't think she looked manly. I just thought she looked off. She looked different. And I think it's just the new facial animation, the new lighting, especially. I forgot to mention that last week. There's some unflattering lighting like bright lights on the beach, desert or not desert, like a tropical setting, and with the new lighting, the skin texture just kind of looks washed out, and you really couldn't see the shape of her face. But if you look at the end of the trailer with the storm, and it's a little bit darker, she looks absolutely fine. So I think it was just one of those things where, just like when YouTube makes a small change and people are like, oh my god, this is YouTube's ruined, and then a couple weeks later you don't even think about it. It's just the new norm, and it's like, oh yeah, why was I mad about this? It's like small changes like that at first just throw you off, and then completely normal. So that's honestly, I got I didn't get caught up into it as much, like really caught up into it, but I was a little annoyed by some of the extremes on both sides. We're saying about that. So anyway, while I was waiting for people to get in here, I just thought I'd say that. And I think the next time we see the game, she's just gonna look completely like Aloy, because we're just used to seeing, just like with the Tomb Raider games. Every one of the new Tomb Raider games, they changed Lara Croft's identity, slightly. If you look from the first game to Shadow of the Tomb Raider, or the 2013 reboot to Shadow of the Tomb Raider, it could honestly be a completely different person. That was a leap in generation, and the polygon counts got way higher on the character model, and she looked different in Rise, but then she just looked like they used almost a different model for the third game. At first it was off-putting, but by the time I had 10 hours or less in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I wasn't even thinking about it. And then I went back and played Rise, and I didn't even think about it at that point. So I think that's how it's going to be. So anyway, we got enough people in here. Let's talk about the Switch Pro. At this point, it feels like the rumor has become facts. And it is, just listening to Rob, shout out to Rob, a rule of two, him and Dave. Funny enough, Super Metal Dave was skeptical that we're going to see the Switch Pro at E3 or anything. So it just come to my attention. I posted something on Twitter. I gained new followers. I got people I'd never seen before retweeting my tweet about how this isn't going to be a pro model. It's going to be a revision. Don't expect DLSS and visual improvements. And it got a lot of attention, and it became obvious that people are taking this 2 straight years of rumors ever since 2.5 years. Early 2019, when the 2 new SKUs were leaked. One was the Switch Lite, which was people calling the Mini. The other was just the basic revision, that the Switch model that's out now with the better battery life. So Reset Era told me it's going on pre-order, what? 12 a.m. Sure. So anyway, it's just become facts to people. And the thing that blows me away is people actually expect it to be higher than $300. So anyway, I'm going to give you 2 just simple reasons why the Switch Pro isn't some powerful console, and it's just going to be a revision just like 2019. It might have some more changes than that, but it's going to be what I would consider a minor revision. Quality of life, better battery life, more efficient, more cost effective for Nintendo. It's going to be more profitable, that kind of stuff. It isn't going to be some game changing massive pro mid-gen refresh. So here's the biggest thing that told me, okay, this is not going to be some powerful console. If you believe the report saying that this is real, then you have to believe every part of the report. You can't just pick and choose the parts you want to believe. So if you believe the Bloomberg report is accurate, then you have to believe that this new Switch is going to phase out the old Switch. That's what they said. It's going to phase out the standard Switch over time. That right there tells me, as somebody who's been following Nintendo since the NES, Nintendo is not going to release a $400 powerful Switch and phase out the standard Switch. Yeah, they'll have the Switch Lite. You don't go from Switch Lite to some mid-gen refresh, almost next-gen Switch like some people are saying, and get rid of the standard Switch that's making them all this money, selling 80 plus million. It just makes no sense. Sony nor Xbox phased out their base system with their Pro consoles, and those were significant more power. Exactly. So if you believe this report that everybody's basing everything they're discussing on, and that it's fact, if you believe this report, you have to believe the whole thing. You can't just believe one part of it and not believe the other. So Nintendo's not going to phase out the current Switch, put it in a dock, take your Joy-Cons off, and replace that with some super powerful new console that has exclusive games. Yeah, eventually over the time, the new 3DS, and now the new 2DS and the new 3DS are the only ones you could buy like in the last couple years. The thing is, there was only 2 exclusive games for the new 3DS, and it wasn't like, to me, the new 3DS is not a pro console. It boosted the CPU to improve the Miiverse, and for Smash, the loading times in Smash were ridiculous on the old one. Nintendo, in my opinion, learned not to do exclusive games because Fire Emblem Warriors didn't sell shit on the new 3DS exclusive, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, it sold alright, but they're not going to do that with a console that's sitting at $80-something million, or 80-something million, on its way to $100 million by the end of this year, before the end of this year. They're just not going to do it. You're not going to phase out your standard Switch for some pro console that not everybody's going to want. It just makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. The other part of it that tells me they're not going to do some major revision, some major change, is they've already announced 2 huge games for 2022 that are Switch games. Pokemon Legends and Splatoon 3. Nothing about those trailers suggested those were running on any more powerful hardware. Those 2 games are coming out next year. You're not going to have some console that phases out the old one and then release 2 huge games for the standard Switch. None of that makes any sense on any level. So what I'm going to say what I think it is, and then we're going to move on. And if you feel differently, that's fine. But this is what I think the revision is. I think it's going to have a more efficient screen, whether that means an OLED or not, and possibly a slight redesign. So maybe the screen's bigger, less bezel, whatever. It's still going to have the same general size and stuff of the current Switch. Joy-Cons are still going to plug into this thing. It's not going to be, thinner. It's not going to be less height, more height. It's going to be the same design so that the current Joy-Cons can plug into it. Maybe the screen's bigger and the bezel's smaller. But at the very least, it's going to be a new screen that's more efficient, giving you better battery life. That's to me, that's a guarantee, no matter what. The other thing it's going to have is NVIDIA's been working on, they have a smaller chip where they already had like the new Tegra in the 2019 model that was twice as efficient, doubled battery life. It's going to continue to increase the efficiency, and more likely the reason is because it's the new process that they want to go with. It's the new mass-produced process, so it'd be probably more expensive to keep having them make the current chip. So make this new chip, it's going to be probably the same price or cheaper than what they're paying versus paying more to continue on the old chip that they're using. That's what it's going to do. It's going to be more efficient. They might, and I stress this, they might do what they did on the new 3DS and bump up the clock speeds a few hundred megahertz or something. That'll improve loading times, and it might iron out a few frame rates, a few FPS if a game dips to 25, maybe now it stays closer to 28, 29, 30 more often. Think Xbox One S instead of Xbox One X. Think Xbox One S even more so than new 3DS. That's what's going to happen. The dock, I predict the dock's going to have HDMI 2.0 support so that, they could stream, you could stream YouTube at 4K. You could stream Hulu if it has 4K. I don't know if Hulu has 4K. The Switch itself might take instead of 1080p output to your TV, it might bump that to 4K output. The game's not going to be doing anything different, but internally the Switch might have some software to up-res the signal. Juice, what about the regular X? That's what I'm saying. The Xbox One S, look at the difference between the Xbox One launch version and the One S. That's where I think this new Switch revision is going to be. A very minor CPU boost that made games that were maybe going down to 28, now they're at a lock 30. If it went down to 25, now it's at 27 frames per second at its lowest. That's what I'm thinking you should expect. So battery life, handheld's going to get the biggest improvement. You're going to have possibly a bigger screen, possibly a better screen, longer battery life, or they could they could reduce the battery size, have the chip be more efficient, shrink the battery down to like the Switch Lite version, and have the same battery life, but now you have a lighter system. Maybe they put better speakers in it or something because there's more room. That's what you should expect. If you're expecting anything else than that, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to be in for a pretty big disappointment. So 2019 revision. Watch videos of what's different about it. It's just more efficient chip and some other small stuff. But if you think, I think people are crazy if they think Nintendo's going to release a $400 power, state-of-the-art NVIDIA chip with DLSS support, games running at 4K and all that. The 2013 version had an HDMI port, and it had the digital optical cable transfer signal from I don't know what you're talking about. It had a HDMI 1.4a port, which is capable of 1080p 60. HDMI 2.0 is capable of 4K 60 and HDR with uncompressed audio, Dolby Atmos. So it's all about bandwidth. HDMI versions are all about bandwidth, and bandwidth leads to higher resolution and higher frame rates. And the Switch Pro means Switch 2 takes longer to come out, which is not good. Yeah, I mean, why would you put a lot of people are saying by the end of this year, maybe early next year, 5 years in, you're going to put out this. After 100 million consoles are sold, you're going to put out this new thing that has exclusive games and can have third-party games that can't run on the base system, and leave those 100 million. Who's going to develop for this new Switch an exclusive game when there's 100 million plus Switch and Switch Lite owners out there? It's just not going to happen. And like I said, even Xbox and PlayStation didn't phase out their base models with the Pro and the X. They phased out their launch models with the Slim and the Xbox One S. So think Xbox One S, PS4 Slim. Think along those lines, and you won't be disappointed, because that's, maybe new Nintendo 3DS, maybe get closer to that, a little bit more of a jump than what I'm suggesting. But anything else, I think you're grasping at straws, and I think at that point, just release the new frickin' Switch. Digital optical, it picks up the signal to hear the sound. It's like a digital camera. I don't know what you're talking about. The dock, and let's talk about the new dock. What the dock needs, if there's a new one, what's up, Donnie? It needs an Ethernet port. It needs HDMI 2.0, and that's all. I mean, hopefully at the very least, but I think that at the very most, that's what you're getting. You're going to get a more efficient Switch. Either they're going to shrink the battery so that it's lighter, or you're going to get more battery life because of a more efficient chip. They're not going to bump up ridiculous number. You're not going to get 4K games, ports of PS5 games like Super Metal Dave was saying. You're not going to get that. I'm sorry. If they were going to do that, if Nintendo was going to replace the Switch with a more powerful Switch, they should have did it 2 years ago. They should have did it in 2019 when there was like 30, 40 million consoles. That way, you're not stuck with the super divided fan base and super divided consumer base. And trust me, Nintendo knows what the Pro and the Xbox One X sold. Trust me. They know. They know the numbers. We don't know the numbers. Nintendo knows the numbers of those consoles. Dock with a built-in Ethernet would be great. I just hope it's on par with the Series S. That would be a pretty big leap in performance. I don't think it will be. I'm just saying the difference between the base Xbox One and the Xbox One S. That's what I would expect from the current Switch in the revision that's probably coming out. Nintendo's going to have a revision. That's all, that's a guarantee. It might be just like the last one, though. You'll need to look at the box to know which one it is, because it might be completely indistinguishable from the current Switch, just like the 2019 version was. They changed the screen. They put a different C chip in it that was twice as efficient, double the battery life. That's what you got, and I think that's what you're getting again. And yeah, Donnie, it'd be awesome to have a built-in Ethernet port. Even though I already have the USB Ethernet adapter, it'd just be awesome for everybody to have an Ethernet port. It's basically repeating the Switch they brought out that had longer battery. People are going to be angry. Why would they be angry? They only be angry at themselves and all the rumor people. There's no one else to be angry at. Like, why would Nintendo, at this point, release a console that's significantly more powerful than the current Switch? You're thinking the Switch Pro will be on par with base PS4? The Switch 2, you'll be lucky if it's on par with base PS4 visuals. People definitely turn on Nintendo if that's the case, but Nintendo never set this up. This is what happens when you have 2 straight years of people saying the Switch Pro was real and it was coming out. In 2019, there's 2 new SKUs. One's a mini, one's the Pro. The Switch Lite gets announced. All right, the Switch Pro is next. And then Digital Foundry finds out, this new SKU, it's going to have this Tegra 2 and it's twice as efficient, but it's going to be running at the same clock speed as the current, not the exact same clock speed, but the exact same configuration, so games run identical, but you get double the battery life. And they reported that, and then people were still saying it's the Switch Pro. And then the next year, maybe the Switch Pro's coming out. Because of COVID, it got delayed. You're right. Nintendo will get attacked for other people, for rumor reporting and stuff, getting people's expectations. So this has been going on for 2 straight years of Switch Pro rumors, and now in a lot of people's minds, it's just fact. It's built up to the point where they're going to be disappointed if it's not what all these rumors said it was. And I made a video about this within the last 2 years. It was more than a year ago, but probably less than 2 years ago. I said the problem with rumors is when they lead to expectations that are not ridiculous, but they lead to expectations that get so high that no matter what Nintendo does with games and just talking about games and with Nintendo Directs and everything, you're going to be disappointed. And it's not Nintendo's fault you're disappointed. It's your fault for believing these rumors and following all these people who report this stuff, like Super Metal Dave, who's made video after video for the last 2 years. And before that was Switch Pro, guess what it was? It was a supplementing computing device that was going to boost performance. And before that, it wasn't even going to be a Switch. It was going to be AMD powered, PS4 Pro level power system. So this keeps changing, but the narrative is the same. And Mezza T, if he's still here, he said it. It's because people were never happy with what the Switch was. So that's why these persist. Let me check the chat. People are definitely, that's what I mean. Nintendo will be attacked. Yep, they run fast. Maybe games will just, at the very most, it'll smooth out some frame rate dips. Maybe Breath of the Wild 1, you go to the Korok Forest and it doesn't drop to 20. It stays closer to 25, 26. Maybe it doesn't pause when you're driving the motorcycle. For those that have had the DLC, when you're driving too fast and it will pause. Maybe that stuff won't happen. I want the Switch Pro to get backwards compatibility with the Wii U OA Switch already has that. Yeah, it's called $60 individual buy the games again. It's Emmy Rogers and those kind of people. Why do people take her words as facts? Because they want to believe, man. They want to believe it's true. They want it so badly that they'll believe it. And she has some kind of insider. She knows somebody who gives her the heads up on a few things. Every once in a while, somebody gives her a heads up on something in a day or two in advance. She's said, oh, Nintendo Direct's coming on Thursday. And then the next day they announce the Nintendo Direct's coming in 2 days, which would be Thursday. So she has some information. But then at other times, just been completely wrong. The Switch is going to launch with enhanced ports for Splatoon, for Xenoblade Chronicles X, for Smash Brothers. What other one was there? Maybe 3D World, Pikmin 3. All those games got sequels, you know. Where was the prediction? Oh, there's going to be a enhanced port for all the games we actually did get. For some reason, this is bugging my freaking ear. What's up? NT's here, 26 frames per second. I was just throwing numbers out. Didn't the standard Switch and like light patents leak before we saw the system? Yeah, it was. Everyone was calling it the Switch Mini. There was 2 SKUs. They said one was the Mini, one was the Pro. One was the Lite, and the other was the revised Switch with better battery life. I mean, we're repeating history here. It's the same shit's gonna happen again. What's up, Jonathan? It's like you get one thing correct even though all the other things were wrong and people give them a leg up. Yeah, I mean, people forget the wrong. It's weird because in normal life, people always remember the bad and they always forget the good things you do. But when it comes to rumor reporting, they only remember the things you got right, and people never remember the things they got wrong. So I went out on Twitter and I put myself out there and I said, there is no Switch Pro. There's no DLSS. It's going to be a revision of the current Switch with better battery life and be more cost effective for Nintendo. So they can make more money or possibly lower the price. I doubt they'll lower the price. It's selling too well. So yeah, hate to burst people's bubbles, and I would love to be wrong. I would love some awesome new Switch that improves games significantly and makes it so Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamities actually can hold a consistent frame rate and doesn't slow down to a chug on some of the later levels with fire and stuff going on. I would love to replay that game with a smooth frame rate. Can you break down what franchise you think will next be on Switch versus Switch 2 Metroid Prime? Now I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go into my E3 predictions right now. And I'm taking a realistic approach. Don't want to get myself hyped up and then lead to disappointment. I don't like to let myself get optimistic for this kind of stuff and Nintendo Directs in general, because you'll never be satisfied for what I want and what would be exciting. It never happens that way, other than one game here or there. So I'm going to break down. I'm going to go through what I think's guaranteed, what's very likely, highly likely. I'm going to get the boring stuff out of the way, and then I'm going to hit some of the bigger stuff and say what I think it is likely, not likely, and stuff like that. So Sonic Colors, yeah, Sonic Colors is coming to everything. So that means it's it's basically based on the trailer. It's just an HD port with some maybe different lighting. Do you think Nintendo's done with the mini console thing? Yeah, because the N64 emulations and the size of the games, it's just Nintendo would have to charge probably for an N64 mini with 20 games and a N64 controller. They'd have to charge like $150 probably, so they ain't gonna do it. I got some easy predict ports, new games, old games getting ports, indie games, and more ports. Yeah, I didn't even have any ports on here. But so here's my guarantees. This is the boring stuff. This is the obvious stuff. New Smash Brother character reveal, obviously. Skyward Sword trailer, another trailer, seems guaranteed to me. Monster Hunter story trailer. Now this is a little iffy because Capcom's doing their own presentation the day before. I think there'll be a Monster Hunter Stories trailer with a release date if Capcom doesn't announce that. Pokemon Legends, absolutely number one, guaranteed. That's going to get a new trailer. It already has a release date, and I think it's going to have significant time on the Treehouse. Pokemon, Brilliant Pearl, Diamond, whatever, that'll probably get a trailer. I feel those are just, I would bet money on every one of those. I'd be shocked if none of those, or if some of those didn't happen. Highly likely would be Monster Hunter Rise DLC, some kind of season pass or expansion trailer. Animal Crossing new content. I don't know what that content would be. Project Triangle Strategy new trailer. Maybe have a release like fall, winter, spring, summer. Monolith's new game I feel is pretty likely. It's been 4 years. Not 4, 3.5 years since Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but they did do the DLC, so and they are helping on Breath of the Wild 2. I think their new game, I think it's very likely to get shown. Dragon Quest 3 remake more than likely is going to have a trailer. Square might just show that in theirs, but I think Nintendo's going to give Square a lot of they're going to get at least Project Triangle and Dragon Quest 3, maybe even another game. Another very likely thing is going to be Sonic Colors trailer, No More Heroes 3. Whether those get part of a sizzle reel or their own individual trailers, I'm not sure. And then the other thing that's highly likely is just push Mario Golf with another trailer, or just, hey, I think they're going to view this E3 as more like an advertisement for, and they said mostly the games this year. Obviously that doesn't mean anything, but I really feel like this is going to be, hey, go buy Mario Golf. Hey, did you guys know that this Garage Builder game came out? Stuff like that. It might be a sizzle reel, or some of those might get individuals. So that's the highly likely. So let's get into the hot stuff. Xenoblade Chronicles X2 trailer, that'd be sweet. And then I guess another highly likely would be some kind of port, whether it's a DS, 3DS or Wii, or maybe even a Wii U game. You got Fatal Frame. I think there's an anniversary for Fatal Frame. That's probably fair, has some chance. I don't think Star Fox Zero has any chance. Kirby's Rainbow Curse has no chance. Woolly World already been ported to 3DS. I'd be shocked, but not surprised. I would say Woolly World and Fatal Frame probably the two most likely ports. Otherwise, we'll get like a Wii or a 3DS game, like a Tomodachi Life for 3DS. I think Tomodachi Life has a good chance on Wii. It's harder for me to try to think of a Wii game that could get ported. I'd have to look at them. But anyway, let's get to the hot games, the stuff people want to talk about. Halo guy for Smash with Jeeps and Nukes. Yeah, I should predict the Smash character too. We can do that on the podcast on Monday, but I'm going to think about that. It's hopefully somebody exciting like Pyro, so we can play Smash some more. Anyway, Bayonetta or Breath of the Wild 2. Where do I put that? The chances of a trailer. I put that at highly likely. I also put at highly likely a 2022 release date. So I think we'll get a trailer. It's it's in the likely category. I don't know about highly likely, but it's in the likely category. Mario Galaxy 2 could be a port. That's true. So Breath of the Wild 2 and a 2022 release date. I think that's a likely scenario. Metroid Prime 4 trailer / info. I think that's possible, but not likely. It's only been, has it been just over 2 years since they announced they were starting over? You know, maybe they could show a trailer. I don't know. If you don't have a release year, though, don't show a trailer. Bayonetta 3. I'm so torn about Bayonetta 3. It could be highly likely and highly unlikely if just in a blink of an eye for me. I'm going to guess Bayonetta 3 is possible but not likely. I'm going to put it on the unlikely side of that coin. Let me check the chat here. Yep, Milo's new game would be great. Bayonetta games, they've already ported. Mario Galaxy 2 would be possible. I already said that. The only other Wii games I'd like to see get ported are Pandora's Tower and Last Story. That's possible. It's Zelda's 35th anniversary, so maybe, you know, some old Zelda games. Let's see, Mario Galaxy 3 would be released as a Switch port. Nice. 4 new DLC tracks Shadow Drop for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe would never happen. Bayonetta 3 could be canceled. Scalebound was. Because of the Bayonetta 3 director, the Bayonetta 2, the guy who directed 2 and was directing 3 left Platinum. They did all this. They built new studio, or they bought a new facility. They want to do self-publishing. I think they bit off more than they can chew. You know, they did well with Wonderful 101, but they're making Babylon Falls for PlayStation, probably 5, maybe 4 as well. Looks phenomenal. That could be taking up a lot of their time because for them, that's a pretty advanced looking game. So Bayonetta 3, I put on the unlikely side of the coin. The next up would be Donkey Kong. Some form of Donkey Kong. I'm putting that in probable. I don't know if it'd be 2D or 3D, you know, the rumored. Wait, is this from some leak? No, leaking out of my mouth. That's where it's coming from. Donkey Kong, I think it's probable. I'd actually be disappointed if they don't have a Donkey Kong game. Not because of the the 3D Mario teams working on it, just because it's freaking time. You know, that's one of the games though that could be a port. Could be Donkey Kong Country Returns. They could port that definitive edition, and that could be the Donkey Kong game. I freaking hope not. But a new Donkey Kong game, I'm gonna put probable. I hope it's true. I hope it comes out. I'd love a 3D one. I've never played a 3D Donkey Kong. I never played Donkey Kong 64. I've watched people play it, and it looks not very good to me. But so yeah, Donkey Kong. Next up, a 2D Metroid. I said Metroid Prime 4 was possible but not likely. 2D Metroid. This is more wishful thinking. I'm gonna put that in probable. I don't know. I just feel like there's a chance for that one. Supposedly Final Fantasy 1 through 6 are getting the Octopath treatment. That'd be cool. I wouldn't mind playing Final Fantasy 6. I call it 3. That's what I've always known it at. That's what they still call it on the Super NES Mini. That one to me was always the most interesting because I watched my buddy play it and I thought it was epic and really pushed the Super Nintendo. So anyway, 2D Metroid. I think that's more likely than Metroid Prime 4 trailer. Me too. People speed Donkey Kong 64. There's nothing about that game looks interesting. I just never was interested in it. And it came out late in the N64 life, just like Perfect Dark. I'd already had my Dreamcast. I was kind of all in with that system at the time. And I just never picked it up. Plus, it was expensive. You needed the RAM expansion. So the other thing, an old IP getting resurrected. You know, the old F-Zero Wave Race. What's that? Star Tropics. You know, Earthbound. I would even put Kid Icarus in that. You know, a game, something like that, getting resurrected, coming to Switch, a new game. I want to say likely, highly likely, but honestly, I'm going to put that as highly unlikely. I don't think they're going to pull out some dead franchise like an F-Zero and give us a game. I really don't. So the last thing would be surprises. What's left? What kind of... They always have something that catches you off guard, whether it's a Link's Awakening, you know, or Astral Chain out of nowhere, Mario Maker 2 out of nowhere, no one was really looking for it or expecting it. There's always a chance that they just come with, yeah. But 99, I had my Dreamcast, man. I'm playing Soul Calibur. That's all we were playing at that time. So, I wasn't a big fan of Banjo Kazooie, so it just didn't line up for me. In Donkey Kong 64, I just didn't have any real interest in it back then. But anyway, surprises. So it's just so hard to guess. Zelda 35th. I mean, just pulling that out of thin air. Links to the Past remake, a la Link's Awakening, hopefully with a different art style, just because those two games didn't have the same art style, so I don't want the remakes to have the same art style. So I'm kind of that's kind of a wild card surprise. Another thing would just be a complete new IP like Splatoon, just out of nowhere. Like what the hell is this? I think that's actually more likely than a remake or any old IPs. I think could get just new IP out of nowhere. Like, I know Monolith Soft's game is going to be a new IP. They've already confirmed if that's shown. But I'm just like, out of nowhere, the next Splatoon type thing where they're just really trying to this new idea and this new franchise with new characters. Like ARMS, all new characters. They didn't bring any Nintendo characters from any other franchise. They just said this is going to be its own thing. And so maybe I think something like that's more likely than resurrecting an old IP. So, that's kind of it. I'm not putting too much, because I think my guarantees and my highly likelies covers the majority of the 40 minutes, to be honest. And then the Treehouse, I guess I can talk about the Treehouse. There's going to be 3 hours. I would not be shocked if Pokemon Legends gets 2 20-minute, 25-minute gameplays. Honestly, that's a huge game with a release date in January of 2022. And I just think people want that's gonna be huge. People have been asking for an open world Pokemon game. I just think that's gonna get a lot of the Treehouse. The other thing that's gonna get Mario Golf's guaranteed to be on the Treehouse. 10 minutes maybe, 15. Skyward Sword, it's gonna be in the Treehouse. I'm sorry guys. I think Skyward Sword's gonna get a decent chunk of the Treehouse. You only got 3 hours, but I already through half of it with the things I said. It's already over an hour and a half in my opinion. They'll probably play Smash if they have the new character. If it's ready to go, they'll play Smash. Otherwise, they won't. They'll probably play their Monster Hunter story. I don't think Project Triangle will be there or Dragon Quest III Remake. So Monster Hunter story probably get played. They might even play Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and whatever Pearl. I don't know what I forget what it is. They'll probably play those. So then there's going to be whatever a couple surprises are. If Breath of the Wild 2 is shown and they show gameplay and stuff, and it's, they hopefully will play that. But at the same time, if it ain't coming out before E3 2022, it probably is. But if it wasn't, then they ain't going to play it. 30 minutes of the Imprisoned. Yeah, I can't wait to watch Skyward Sword, watch them use the amiibo and say, hey, look what you can do. That's going to get... The amiibo is going to get definitely pointed out during the Treehouse. Sonic Color, I don't think Sonic Colors. Maybe the Game Garage, they'll definitely play that at the Treehouse. This is going to be an advertisement. This isn't going to be a get you hyped. This is, hey guys, here's what we have to offer. Go buy this. Watch us have fun playing this. They're not going to... Splatoon 3... I forgot Splatoon 3, sorry. God damn it. I meant to write... Splatoon 3... I'm going to put that in the probable, as far as getting a new trailer. I think that's highly likely. And then at the Treehouse, I think it's probable. If it's coming out before E3 next year, I think they'll play it at the Treehouse. Yeah, Splatoon 3, I think that's a highly likely to get a new trailer. But I would not be shocked if they just don't even show it or talk about it. If the game's coming out like holiday 2022, there's no reason to show it a new trailer or show them play it. If it's coming out before E3, they'll show it and they'll play it. I gave my Dreamcast to a buddy back in the day when the original Xbox or 360 was about to come out, and he didn't have a game system. I said, dude, just play my Dreamcast. And I intended to get it back, and I never got it back. You most likely get a few indies on the Treehouse. I don't know. I don't know about that. 3 hours. They don't have a lot of time, so it would have to be a pretty big indie, and it would have to be, I don't even know, something new. They're not going to play Among Us. I don't. I also forgot the Star Wars game they at the last Direct. That'll probably get a trailer as well. Nintendo better not play a port and that programming thing at Treehouse. I guarantee it. They're gonna definitely play one of them. Probably play both of them, because they're gonna try to sell you on that Garage Builder game. I guarantee you that one. I guarantee Skyward Sword. I feel 80% certain that's gonna get played at the Treehouse. They're gonna try to sell you on these games. That's how they're looking at this. They're not looking at this to get you hyped for 2022, as a Nintendo fan and a Switch owner. So, yeah, Silk Song would be great, but I have a feeling the guys making that game are just gonna keep making it until it's ready to come out, and then they're gonna announce a release date. So it could be. I'd love it if they showed that. So, what I think, since Retro Death made a video, I'm gonna say what I think they need to do. What Nintendo needs to do for me personally to get me excited to be a Nintendo fan again, to get me excited to be a Switch owner again. Juice, the 90s was the year 5.1, late 90s. 5.1 wasn't a thing till Dolby Digital and DTS in the late 90s. Yeah, Skyward Sword for sure. Damn, what was I just going to say? I just completely got sidetracked. What was I saying before I read those last 3 comments? Right after Silk Song. What they need to do. What Nintendo needs to do for me to be like, all right, this is the reason I've loved Nintendo my whole life. This is the reason I was excited for the Switch in 2017. Obviously show the things they're going to show, the Smash character reveal, the obvious stuff. But this is what they need to do. They need to have Breath of the Wild trailer with gameplay. That game needs to be at the latest out in March 2022. That's what I feel they need to do. Bayonetta 3 has to be there. It has to look like it's a finished game, like Astral Chain when they revealed it. That's what they need to do, in my opinion. Give us an update on Metroid Prime 4. Hopefully have actual footage to show, but just say, hey, we're making good progress. This game, I don't care if you just show some character models, some environments, something. Just let us know that game's being worked on. They need a Donkey Kong game. And the biggest thing they need is not to have any more fucking ports. Period. I don't want to see another port in this E3 at all. Skyward Sword HD, fine. Maybe a collection for the anniversary of some of the top-down Zeldas. That's different. Don't release another full price freaking port, and don't show it. And if you're going to release it, don't show it in this E3, because that to me is an instant 1 point removed. So if it was an A show, but they announce Donkey Kong Country Returns Definitive Edition, now that A is now a B automatically. It could not be above a B because of that. That's how I'm viewing this. So, would you be disappointed by a new 2D Mario? Hell no. I'd love a new 2D Mario. I don't think there's any chance of it, though. I don't know. I just think they're taking a break. So, but yeah, they need that. Splatoon 3 needs to look great, and if confirm that they've actually acknowledged that they need to change some stuff. They can't just make it the same exact formula. And that's what they need to do. On top of Monolith's new game, which I said was highly likely, and showing us all the other great games coming out this year. Prime 4, I want gameplay. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'd want if it's ready. That's what this E3 needs to be for me to be like, all right, I'm excited again. I'm glad I have the Switch. I'm going to be buying more than one game per year. Like the last 2 years, I bought one game for the entire year. New game. I did pick up the Octo expansion and then Hellblade the previous year digitally on sale for like $7. But other than that, one new game, Luigi's Mansion in 2019 and Age of Calamity in 2020. That's it. I want a reason to turn on my Switch instead of my PS5. That's what I want. So you're like, oh, you're negative. You don't think this stuff's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen because of the last 2 years, but I really want it to happen. I really want to see Breath of the Wild 2 with a November 2021 release date, looking amazing. Here's the gameplay. This give you chills. If the trailer gives me chills and it's coming out in 2021, that will already get me excited. I'm not gonna lie. That one announcement, all I really need, but to like. Then I'm buying one game again, Mario Golf's possible, but I want to see that the merging of your teams is finally paying off. 5 years later after that announcement? I want to see that you're not milking the ports anymore. I want to see some value proposition. I give them credit for Bowser's Fury. It wasn't just a 3D World port. Bowser's Fury looks like a pretty damn good 3D Mario game, albeit shorter than most. That type of port, I never really complain about it. I wish Bowser's Fury was separate, but if you're gonna do that for every one of these, I wouldn't have been as mad. But Pikmin 3 comes out and it's like, it literally looks the same or a little bit worse than the Wii U version. Pac-Man World 4. Yeah, I mean, there's other games that, have been announced that could get some trailers and stuff. Third party. I really hope Capcom and Square deliver the goods. I would love a Resident Evil Revelations 3 or something other than the cloud version of Resident Evil Village. I think that's kind of actually pretty likely. Announcing the Resident Evil Village Cloud Edition, which is going to suck because the Hitman 3 or whatever Cloud Edition was absolute garbage on Switch. It looked terrible, ran poorly, but that could be possible. But I just want Nintendo to deliver. I want a confident, we have games, here are great games, and they're not going to slow down again. I don't want this 1 year on, 1 year off, 1.5 years off bullshit. I don't care about COVID. People brought up COVID so much last year to defend Nintendo. You know what Sony did during COVID? They released Dreams, which everybody who played it thought it was pretty good. They had an exclusive Final Fantasy VII remake, which they didn't fund, but that was exclusive. They released The Last of Us Part 2. Great game. Ghost of Tsushima, I'm playing it now. It's a really good game. Then at the end of the year, they released 2 versions of the PS5 with Astro's Playroom, a really solid game. Miles Morales, a really solid but shorter game. Like, I don't know how long it was, 10, 15 hours. Demon Souls remake that looked absolutely amazing. Sackboy, which I forget the team that did that one. Sumo Digital, I think. And they did all that in 2020 during the pandemic. So there's no excuse for Nintendo releasing basically three major titles in a year, and then some small stuff. There's no excuse for that. When I know Xbox didn't have as much, but it's like there's no Nintendo should been the ones releasing the game. They should have been the ones showing everybody else how to do it during the pandemic, but they didn't. So there's no excuses this year. And I've already said my piece on the beginning of this year. We already did Microsoft on the last podcast. We didn't talk too much about the third parties. We didn't really have much to say. So this next week's going to be Nintendo. And then the following week, E3 happens during the weekend. Monday, a few things. I'm thinking, and I'll have to talk to the guys, I'm thinking on Tuesday, like early, like 10:30, 11 a.m., start the podcast, do a recap, and then do a live reaction to Nintendo. But I know Robert and a couple of guys want to watch the Direct without being without live streaming. So maybe Monday we'll recap. And then Tuesday, me and T or anybody else that wants to do a live reaction to the Nintendo Direct. Because I'm honestly good with doing a live reaction. I don't expect it to be amazing. And if it is, I want it to be captured. You know, like, hey, I'll admit when I'm wrong. If I'm wrong and Nintendo kills it at E3, I'll be the happiest I've ever been to be wrong in my life. Like, honestly. I'm not even exaggerating. That's like, I'd be so happy to be wrong about this E3. I don't think it's going to be super amazing. I think it's going to be very safe, very, hey, these games you know about, but here's some more trailers. They're coming out. Go buy these. Make sure you buy these games. And oh yeah, here's a few 2022 games. You know, like, that's what I'm fearing. That's what I think realistically is going to happen. Definitely no Switch Pro. They even said it's featured Nintendo Switch hard or software only. And time's running out for people saying the Switch Pro announcement's coming before E3. That was over a week ago. It was supposed to happen last week. And now we're on Thursday of this week. And still no announcement. Emily Rogers on 5/27. That was a week ago, said that it was imminent. Is it going to be that day or the next? A week later, nothing. So that's another thing. I would like to be wrong about the Switch Pro. I think it's going to be a minor revision. Hopefully fix a few things. I don't think they're going to revise the Joy-Cons or anything like that. It's possible. I think that's more possible than power and DLSS support for 4K. I think revising the Joy-Cons is more likely than more power. 2 games that you're personally interested in best case scenario, low expectations, and I think that's realistic. As far as getting announced or releasing this year, Wisdom. Or are you replying to somebody else? I don't see you anywhere else above. So you're asking like realistic 2 games for the releasing this year or just to get shown? I'll answer, I guess, both ways. 2 games, best case scenario, realistic expectations. Bayonetta or Breath of the Wild sequel getting a trailer and played at the Treehouse, and then Bayonetta 3 finally getting a trailer. I think that's the best case scenario for 2 games that I feel have a chance. That would get me the most excited. I'm a little worried about Bayonetta 3, though, to be honest. I've said this in the past. I'm worried that Platinum, with the guy leaving, the director, and was it Kamiya? He's working on another project, and they've already proven to me with Astral Chain on the Switch that their game engine's not really that great for the Switch. I mean, the game ran at 30, it was pretty consistent. Looked okay. In some areas looked really good. Other areas not so good. So I'm a little worried about Bayonetta 3. If they don't show Breath of the Wild 2, is it still possible for them to have a great E3? Yeah, if the reason they don't show Breath of the Wild 2 is because they have a new Donkey Kong, they have a new Metroid, 2D Metroid, they have some awesome surprise game coming out later this year, and Splatoon 3 looks great. There's a chance they could be like, well, it ain't coming out before next E3. What's the point of showing it? And they've done it in the past. They could just say, well, we'll have more to discuss later this year. And I would be disappointed personally. It would probably deflate the Direct in the moment. Maybe later on I would come back around. I feel Directs usually get worse with time when you think about it. I go back and rewatch them before our podcast reactions when we do our impressions, and they're usually worse the second time because it's all that excitement. It's really the hype. If you take away the hype, the anticipation, and you go back and watch E3 2018, Smash was like 20 minutes of that. If you watch what came before that, it was really sad. 2018 E3 was really bad, in my opinion. I believe it showed, if you go back and rewatch it, trust me, in your memory, it was a pretty good show. Go back and rewatch it and tell me if you think that it's still good. I was so disappointed. I watched somebody's reaction. I think it was Just Jess. I watched her reaction to it earlier this year. Just popped up in my feed. I was watching some of her videos. And I was like, you know what, let me watch a reaction to 2018. It had 3DS games in it, for Christ's sakes. Like Luigi's Mansion port, whatever. Like, it wasn't that good. I'm sorry, it wasn't that good. So anyway, off topic, but yeah, I think that's all I got. I haven't turned on my Switch since I beat the Octo expansion, but we have been playing. I was playing Knockout City. That's not true. I played Knockout City, and because we have 2 new consoles on my, I think Nintendo can't afford to have a bad E3. I really don't think E3 good or bad's gonna really affect the sales of the Switch. Their 30 million target. You got Pokemon Legends coming out in January. Monster Hunter's selling really well. Animal Crossing still selling. These games, Mario Kart's still selling. They're gonna have Pokemon remakes for the holidays. Like, all they need is another like Paper Mario caliber game for like August, September, and they can just skate by another year, and people will defend it. The Defendos will defend it, and I don't know what they're gonna say this time, because they've been saying wait for E3 after last year. Well, it's COVID. It was COVID. They had to deal with that. Now it's wait for E3. Well, if E3 comes around and it's disappointing, I gotta agree with Mr. T. I'm gonna get out the flame sword, and I'm be roasting some people if they're gonna defend a poor E3 after not having E3 last year, having the excuse of the pandemic, only releasing so far this year Bowser's Fury 3D World port, the Garage Builder, and Miitopia. I think that's it from Nintendo themselves. They did publish Bravely Default 2 in the US, but in Japan it was published by Square. They didn't fund that game, but they get some credit, I guess. And then you got Mario Golf after E3, and Pokemon, and No More Heroes 3. That has nothing to do with Nintendo, and it looks like trash anyway. Visually, it looks like it had a very small budget, very small team. It might be a fun game, but I'm just saying, that doesn't count towards Nintendo. That's just Suda, and he knows where his audience is. So really, with Pokemon games November, Mario Golf's June, Skyward Sword, I forgot Skyward Sword HG's July, No More Heroes 3, it's an exclusive, that's August, so I'll be going after all those goons. Yeah, if Breath of the Wild 2 doesn't even get a trailer, Metro Prime Fruit 4, no trailer, Bayonetta 3, nothing, and they focus on Splatoon 3, the Project Triangle strategy are your 2022 games, and like a mid-tier, like a Paper Mario game maybe for this year, and then everything else is just all the obvious stuff that I mentioned. The Smash character, Skyward Sword, Monster Hunter Story, the Pokemon games, Animal Crossing DLC, probably new content, stuff, sizzle reel for stuff we know. If it's just that, and like, I'm trying to think what would be a Paper Mario caliber type game. Cool, but not like, it's not gonna get anybody. I mean, some people be hyped. With 2D Donkey Kong, for a lot of people that wouldn't be that exciting. I'd be excited, but something along those lines. 2D Metroid, I think, would get a little more applause. It'd probably sell worse, but that. And if that's all you're getting for 2021, come on. What's your defense? You gotta at some point just admit, hey, they're just not trying. It's not even a quality versus quantity situation. It was always quality versus over quantity. We got quality over quantity. What if you're not getting either quality or quantity? I mean, you're getting quality mostly, but if you're not even getting the quantity, it's like you're not getting quantity. The quality didn't drop off, but now the quantity's less. It used to be quantity or quality over quantity because there wasn't a lot. Well, what if there's even less than that? Then what do you say? Is it still quality over quantity? I don't know. It's 3 games. Is 3 like, bigger games a year? Is that what we expect from Nintendo now? What order would you put the games in the Direct for best impact? Well, for best impact, I would start with an announced game like Splatoon 3. All right, here's a trailer for Splatoon 3. Then you go through your obvious stuff, new trailers for things we already know. Get people the Pokemon Legends, get a nice trailer for that. Hopefully the game looks better than when they showed it the first time. Then you do your Smash character reveal. Unless your Smash character is Banjo-Kazooie level hype, you do your Smash character. Then you show, or maybe show Bayonetta 3 first. Then your Smash character. Then you announce the new 3D Donkey Kong game or something. And then at the end, you show Breath of the Wild 2 trailer that gives you goosebumps in 2021 or whatever year. Give a year. Don't just leave it hanging. I think that would be the most impact. I wouldn't start with... I don't know if I'd start with Breath of the Wild, because how are you going to finish? Unless the Smash character, there's not even anybody left. Lara Croft is probably the biggest third-party character left, and that's not going to make that big an impact. Unless it's like... Crash isn't going to make that big an impact. You have to end with Breath of the Wild. There's no other game. Monolith's new game, you could open with that, and that would be pretty cool. Splatoon 3, they do make cool trailers, so. But yeah, I'd end with Breath of the Wild 2. Maybe act like you're gonna end the show, and then oh yeah, there's this one game, and then it's like goosebumps. Funny enough, I watched that on Twitter, like a 30-second breaking down Breath of the Wild's theme in 30 seconds. And in those 30 seconds, I got chills from the music. So, they just got it. Really, they show Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, and it looks amazing. Most everything else would be forgiven. Dixie and Smash would be cool. Now, I don't know about Diddy. Dixie. I'd say Dixie. Yeah, Smash character, though. I don't know. That's just a tough one. I have a feeling it's going to be another internal IP, a Nintendo-owned IP. I'm not sure, though. For me, there's no one super hyped left. There's no one other than, like, Urbosa, a champion from Breath of the Wild. I don't know that I'd get excited for any internal IP. There's they already have all of my favorite characters. So, I don't know. Nintendo's output during the Switch gen is less than any other gen, but its path is looking to end beyond the DS in terms of sales. Ironic. That's true. That is true. It could be the least amount of games per year published or developed, considering they always had 2 systems, now they only have 1. So we always thought, and I know T was just talking about this, we always thought taking the teams making 2 systems and you get rid of one of the systems, we'll still get those same amount of games. But really what we should have been realizing is, well, there's 1 less system. So now you cut the game output in half, because they don't have to put out 2 versions of Mario Kart. They don't have to put out 2 versions of a Mario game. They don't have to put out Metroid Prime Hunters on the DS, Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance, along with the Metroid Prime games. Now they can just got to do the Metroid Prime game. They don't have to put out the second. So we've been looking at this all wrong, and this just hit me. Honestly, just hit me. I think we've been looking at this all wrong. Now there's only 1 system, so we're getting half the games, and I honestly think that's what's happened. We just thought, all right, as a home console fan first and foremost, all right, these are the games we get. This is kind of the amount of games we get for a home console. Yes, they have 3 handheld games as well, but I figured we'd get more than what the home console generation, or what the home console got in a year, games per year. I thought we'd get more than what we got on Wii U per year. I thought we'd get more than what we got on Wii per year. GameCube, N64. I thought we'd get more. That's what, when I always say I thought we'd get more, I didn't mean we'd get more than the handheld and home console combined output. I meant more than just one of those, the output of one of those systems, and we didn't get that. So anyway, I think that's about it. Maybe this is a good time. I was doing Saturday afternoon streams. Didn't seem like that was a good time. I know the topic, the title, was a hot topic and stuff, but I'd be curious who here thinks, real quick, put a 1 if you expect it and a 2 if you think I'm right. Is there going to be a Switch Pro that's like a mid-gen refresh, a powerful version of the Switch? Put a 1. If you think it's just going to be a revision closer to what the 2019 Switch revision was, put a 2. So I see I got 18, 19 people in here, so I want to see at least 10 responses. 1, if you expect a Switch Pro to be powerful. 2, if you think it's just going to be a revision. Let's see, we got 1, 2 so far. Come on, guys, you can type something. I know there's a bit of a delay, but I was hoping to get more than 1 reply. Let's get 5 replies. Come on. 3. Come on, Donnie. Another 2. I'll take your 3 as a 2. 1 is no pro. I guess a 3 would be no revision whatsoever. I think that's just ridiculous to think. 1 or 2. 1 or 2. All right, we got 1. We got a 1 now. Mezati says 2, 2, 2. And what do you guys think the reaction will be when it's like, hey, you got this better OLED screen, longer battery life, and maybe a better Bluetooth or Wi-Fi? What if it's just that? What do you guys think the reaction would be from the casual fans? I just think I think it would be bad, but it wouldn't be Nintendo's fault, because why would, like everyone says, why would they? The thing's selling so well, why would you mess with the formula? Yeah, pretty much everybody says 2, 1. There's 1, 1, but on Twitter, the responses I got were people are taking the Pro as actually fact. No, 2 is no Pro. 2 is a revision, a minor revision. 1 is a powerful Pro, like powerful console. People backpedal. Yeah, I'd love to see. I don't subscribe to him. I don't watch his videos, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to be checking his channel hourly, Super Metal Dave, when they reveal it's just a revision. I'm going to check his hourly. I'm going to be on him hourly. I want to see his video, his next video after they reveal it's just a revision. I don't have any problem with the guy personally. He seems like an okay guy. Just his whole channel's built on bullshit. It's just based on speculation and Retro Studios just hired this person. So let's make a Metroid Prime 4 video. It's like, sorry, I might sound salty, but I just don't understand. I don't understand how that's a successful channel. Why do people come back to that stuff, especially when after this, if the Switch Pro is really, it'd be dead for good. If this new SKU, whatever, is just a smaller revision, I would hope the Switch Pro rumors would be dead forever. Just putting the pedal to the metal. I know there's gonna be some backpedaling. I know there's people revision history. They're I didn't say it was going to happen. I'm fine with this. This makes more sense from a business standpoint. This makes more sense for Nintendo. That kind of stuff it's just going to be crazy. It's going to be worse than the reaction to Aloy in Forbidden West if Nintendo releases just a revision, and that's what everybody's been saying is going to be the Pro. It's going to be bad in those damn Twitter streets. I got it. Let me check something real quick. Since I'm talking about Twitter. I got it moved over. I want to see my notifications. So what I posted, let me see here. All right. And I only got 14 likes, 2 retweets, 3 retweets. I just said I want to officially state this here so I can prove how right I was in a few months when Nintendo reveals the Switch revision that Doesn't add more power, but just converts the signal to 4K via HDMI 2.0 on the new dock. There isn't a Switch Pro coming, people. So that's what I said. I think I had more comments than I had likes and retweets, to be honest. Let's look. Why doesn't it tell me? It's quite a few comments, but either way, not that important. I just wanted to check it. I actually backed out of the YouTube stream page. But yeah, I'm gonna call it a night. Go play with my cat and then go to bed. So yeah, they said it'd be on software. Definitely won't show no count. But people are saying, well, they're gonna show it before E3. So they got another 11 days for that to happen. Mario Party 11, that's possible. That's possible. But anyway, I'm going to get out of here. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And appreciate y'all. And let's hope for an amazing E3. But we'll be, on Monday, we'll be discussing everybody's thoughts on predictions and stuff for Nintendo, expectations. And then we'll probably decide how we're going to handle the next week after E3, when we're going to do the recap of Xbox and all the third parties, and who's gonna stream the Nintendo Direct with me. So I don't know if you guys would want to watch the Direct through me or through us, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Don't play with pussy, just eat it. Nice. So with that, we're gonna get out of here. So yeah, guys, have a good night. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on Monday.